Hey, this is Nick and welcome to Borsellino Carpentry. So in today's video, I'm going to be talking a little bit about New York State is reopening phase 1, which includes construction, which is what I do, as of tomorrow morning. It's actually, I think I heard tonight at midnight, so a couple hours from now. It's 9:30 p.m. I wanted to do this video earlier today, but I didn't get to it, so if you've been following along these last few videos and you're here again, I thank you very much. The last one I made was kind of long, but I think there was a lot of good information in there. If you didn't see any of my last ones, I'll put links to those in the description below. And if this is your first time here, thank you. And feel free to subscribe. And if you do subscribe, ring that little notification bell. You get updated of my new videos and all the updates with this stuff. So normally my channel is how-to videos, carpentry stuff, tool reviews, that kind of thing. But during this whole pandemic, I've been out of work and trying to do those videos, like doing some projects around my house. But this whole thing with my business and trying to get it up and running, or dealing with the PPP, PUA and all that stuff, has basically taken up all of my time. So I figured if it's taken up all of my time, there's probably a lot of other people who need this information. So that's why I'm doing this. So where we're at today, as I said, New York is opening tomorrow. I personally am not going to be reopening my business tomorrow. I am still trying to figure out a whole bunch of things. I'm currently on the CDC's website, and I'll put a link to that below, but it's also just cdc.gov. And they have apparently all these things that you need to do as an employer, as a business, all these protocols you have to go through if you're going to reopen. I believe they are like strongly recommended protocols, you know. And I was watching the governor just before this, and if you have any questions, they say to contact your local representative office. They were not very clear about exactly who to call and what the number was or anything like that. I'm in Madison County, New York, so I'm assuming I will just try to figure out through them if they have any special guidelines that they need us to do. But basically, off of the CDC's website, there's a lot of information on the CDC's website. So again, it's another whole, you could spend a whole day in there getting lost. And I'll just read off a couple things off of this one thing. I'll put a link to this specific thing that I'm looking at too. And basically it says, should you consider reopening? Will reopening be consistent with applicable state and local orders? Are you ready to protect employees at higher risk for severe illness? If yes, move on. It's like a adventure, make your own adventure right here, right? If no, do not open. Yeah, so then it just goes through the basic things about hygiene, disinfecting, ventilation, social distancing, all that kind of stuff to keep your employees safe. And then if you can't do that, meet safeguards first. If you can, is ongoing monitoring in place. So basically you have to monitor all your employees. Okay. I don't see it on the CDC's plan right here. There is a whole bunch of different versions of these depending on what your business is. Like I saw one specifically for construction. And somewhere along the lines I saw that you should be making sure that your employees are checking their temperature every day, probably to see if you have a spike, and that's one of the things to know if you have this thing. So anyway, that's basically that. If you're getting any value out of this right now, please like and subscribe below. So what I read on that page, one of the first questions was, are you ready to protect employees at higher risk for severe illness? So again, there's a link through the CDC's website for people who are at higher risk for severe illness. And that states that that is people 65 years and older, if you're in a nursing home or long-term care facility, people with underlying medical conditions, and then it lists a whole bunch of medical conditions. Now here's where I get concerned personally. This one, people with chronic lung disease or moderate to severe asthma, which is me. So this time of year especially, I go outside in the spring and the pollen and all the stuff going on just makes my asthma worse. So my allergies and my asthma has not been bad this year because I've been inside. So I already don't like really going out in the springtime. But when you have asthma, and it's still, I mean, they don't have any concrete proof, but I've heard both sides. People with asthma can get it worse, and people with asthma could be totally fine. And I've heard both stories. Like, I know 2 people from my town. One has asthma and he barely even knew he had COVID, but he had it. And another guy who had it and ended up in the hospital for 2 weeks, 3 weeks on a ventilator and everything. I mean, so it's still, they don't know. This thing doesn't pick and choose who it's going to take out. And I'm cautious about reopening too soon, as are a lot of people. And there's a lot of people who are not. They want to be out and restarting business, and that's totally fine. I've been lucky enough to be collecting unemployment through this PUA program. So the money that I thought that I was going to be spending for the last 2 months, I've been very fortunate to not, I mean, I dipped into it, but now unemployment is helping to replenish it. And that's going to make it so that tomorrow when things go down, if I have to come off unemployment, I can use up the savings that I had to see for a little while how this thing plays out. They've been doing everything in 2-week increments. So I'm expecting to see people start getting back out into work, back out into reality. The numbers start going back up. They've talked about, you know, that's why they're doing it in phases. So if they have to shut things back down, they can. And so I would rather just kind of sit back and say, I'll just watch this and see what happens for right now. I understand everybody does not have that ability to do that. Like I said, I'm very fortunate to even be in this position, and I understand that. And we all got to do what we feel is best for us. I talked in the last video about sending back the PPP, and that yesterday did go through. I had to go to the bank. I had to go to the bank to sign the wire transfer for them to send it back. And so basically I got the PPP. It cost me $15 to transfer it to my account from the SBA. Cost me $20 to transfer it back to the SBA. And then it incurred 70 cents in interest over the 3 or 4 days that I had it. So it ended up costing me $35.70 to take some money and give it back to them. And immediately I started getting some, I got both sides of the argument here. People were saying, why are you going to give the money back? You know, you shouldn't give the money back. It's their fault if they gave it to you. And on the other side, I had people saying it's the smart thing to do if they start coming after people. And I said, you know what? I've been, like I said, collecting this unemployment with this PUA. I don't need to double dip. I don't want to be trying to do illegal activities to benefit myself during this point. I'm just trying to do what I can to get by, as many of us are. I really don't want to take advantage of the system right now. I don't think that that is the best thing for anybody to do right now. I know a lot of businesses are, and that's their deal, you know? But I just want to be safe rather than sorry. Yeah, so like I said, I'm not reopening tomorrow. I started calling the people that I have on my list ready to go. And I've got some indoor jobs that I was working on that it's, like I said, right now, I don't think it's safe for me to go in people's houses and be going in and out of their house every day for the next couple months working on these projects. And so we're gonna leave them on hold. And I started making some calls for some outdoor work, but it's been snowing here for the last week. So it's not exactly outdoor work time. And as I said, with my asthma and my allergies, I don't typically start outdoor work until June, once the allergens tend to die down and it gets warm, and you know, things are already bloomed by then. But right now the pollen is just starting to come out, and I don't do well outside right now. So unfortunately for my own health, aside from COVID, it's not good for me to be outside. So again, I understand everybody's got to do their own thing, whatever's best for them. This is me. This is what's best for my business, my family, as I see it with the information that I have today, which changes every day. And if there's any specific thing that you would like me to research and do one of these videos on, please let me know in the comments. There's so much information to sift through, and I'm actually kind of enjoying it, but I'm getting very overwhelmed, and it's very creates a lot of anxiety just dealing with this all and trying to figure out the best practice. And I know a lot of other people are too. So if I can be of assistance to you, let me know if there's something that you want me to talk about on here. And I think other than that, like I said, if you got anything out of this, please like and subscribe, and ring that notification bell when you subscribe so you can be notified of the next videos. And check out all the links in the description, like I said earlier, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye.